Hey everybody, before I get started, I just want to mention a couple of ways that you can engage with me on a more personal level. I have a few avenues set up and I keep focusing on one, and I figured why don't I make a short little video talking about all of them real quick before we get into these episodes. So first thing, Patreon. There's a link in the episode description, in every episode description to the Patreon, as well as a video on the feed called Major Announcement that has all the details of what each tier offers and how much they cost. I implore you to check that out. I offer a lot of cool shit for my patrons. Second thing, the Discord channel. There's also a Discord link in the episode description and in every episode description. I have multiple channels set up there for each show that I'm covering, and it's a great way to just engage with me. I have a channel set up for MMA talk as well. I'm a big MMA fan, so if you're an MMA fan, you can check that out as well. There's a link to the Discord in the episode description. And then lastly, the Facebook and Twitter. Social media. Follow me on there. I post news on there. When I say news, I mean like, hey, I'm stopping covering this show. Hey, I'm starting covering this show. Let me know what you think about this. I do live watches of things on Facebook where like I'll check in and say I'm watching so-and-so show, and then I'll like live comment while I'm watching it, and that'll be cool if maybe you watch that show too and you want to watch along with me, or you're watching it later and you will see my thoughts, which are usually pretty entertaining because I'm usually pretty high when I'm writing them. So check out all those links in each episode description, and let's talk about this episode. Peace.
One mic, one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. One mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. One mic. One mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, and today I'm here to talk about episodes 1 through 4 of the new Amazon Prime series Swarm. This new series Swarm is created by Donald Glover and Janine Neighbors. I had to double check, make sure I had her name right. And I don't know if you guys recall, but about, I want to say 2 years or so, give or take, there was this big announcement that Donald Glover had signed this huge deal with Amazon where he was going to produce a whole bunch of shows for them. There was going to be like, I think they said it was going to be like a hub on there where you could like go on there and be like, I don't know what they were going to call it, but like the Donald Glover section. And it'll presumably have Atlanta and all of, hopefully, let's say 5 years down the road, he's got a ton of creative projects that exist. Like they're all going to be in this hub on Amazon. That'd be cool. But when the announcement was made, and this was also about the same time where they announced that he was going to be doing a Mr. and Mrs. Smith remake with Phoebe Waller-Bridge from Fleabag. They also announced at that time that the first thing was gonna be what ended up being Swarm. I think the article that I read, I think they said like the working title was Hive at the time, but it was conceptually what we are seeing here with Swarm. And what that is essentially a show that is a pretty strong indictment on the fan culture that borders on obsessive and dangerous. It's very clearly meant to, I don't necessarily want to say ridicule the Beehive, but I think the Beehive, I think, is the most recognizable reference that the show could make. So that's what it's doing. And there's so many connections and similarities and references between this show and, Beyonce's music, things Beyonce has done, like having twins or the surprise release of Lemonade, all that kind of stuff, right? Not even worth talking about. For those of you who might be, who might find that fun to be like, oh, there's a Beyonce thing, have at it. Not my bag. I don't care about that. I'm here to talk about the content of the show, but there is a shit ton of references to Beyonce throughout here. But one of the things that I find interesting about this show is that it's set up. There's very few characters that appear from episode to episode. And when I say very few, off the top of my head, after having watched the first 4 of 7, I can only think of 2. The star of the series, Dominique Fishback, and Chloe Bailey, who we're going to talk about a little bit later. But the show also has like a similar structure to Poker Face on Peacock. I don't know if you guys have watched that, but Poker Face has Natasha Lyonne's character. She kind of moves from town to town in each episode, getting jobs in each town, and then she has to solve these murder mysteries. And these stories take place in each of these different locations. And it feels kind of like it's very episodic in nature, but it's also serialized in that she's running from someone that over something that happens in the first episode. And that storyline, even though it doesn't pop up very often throughout the first season, it does run its course and culminate in the finale. So it's like it's episodic, but you get that consistency, and you get Natasha Lyonne in every episode, and then you get like these guest actors in every episode as well. Swarm is very similar in that it has this through-line plot with Dre. Dre is Dominique Fishback's character, who plays Well, I'm sorry, Dre is the kind of character that, I mean, the kind of person who is obsessed with Nyjah in this case, who is this show's Beyonce. She's trying to meet Nyjah, and she goes from town to town, and she's meeting new people in each of these towns and having different adventures in each episode. She's not trying to solve a murder; she's more often than not committing them. But it's very similar structurally to Poker Face, which I think is ironic because I don't think it's possible for one to have drawn inspiration from the other. So it's interesting that two shows that are this similar were released in so close of a time frame. But talking about the show itself, I gotta say, so far, I'm really actually enjoying this. I don't want to sound surprised. I shouldn't be. But it's kind of like with Amazon stuff. I haven't found anything on Amazon that I'm just like, yo, this shit is fucking fire. Everything's kind of just like, this is good. This is enjoyable, but nothing where I'm just like, yo, you need to see this. You know, Lord of the Rings was supposed to be that. I don't even, like, Rings of Power. I'm like, I don't even remember what the fuck that show was called anymore. It was so fucking shitty. But like, that was supposed to be that, and it wasn't. So I guess maybe it's coming in is that I almost kind of have not a low expectation, but a low ceiling for what I find on Amazon Prime, which is sad. I mean, they got the money to do whatever they want, and I like the fact that they're giving a lot of people some opportunity to do some really creative shit, especially black creators. You got Underground Railroad on there, you got them on there, you have this now. And the black creators are given opportunities to make black stuff that's really fucking cool. And I do really enjoy this show. And it's just not something where I'm just like, oh, you guys, everybody has to see this. But like, it's a really fun show to watch, but that is kind of about as far as I can go with it. The thing is, I'm not trying to insult it. Like, me saying it's not like upper echelon prestige TV is not saying it's not good or not worth your watch. I think it very much is worth your time. It's a really fun ride so far. You know, it feels like it's trying to be Atlanta in a few ways, like how Atlanta would do those standalone episodes throughout the course of a season. They really did it a lot in season 4. Envision a whole season of standalone episodes like that, but you still have Dominique Fishback in each one. Whereas like these you know, on Atlanta, it's like the main cast won't even be there for those episodes. But like, think of it like that, but still Dominique Fishback and the same kind of theme of like, she's a Nyjah obsessive, just like somebody in the Beehive, and she's doing way over the top shit in each episode. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but I don't want to spoil you guys on a lot of the cool things that I think I've seen so far. I don't think I've seen it. I know I've seen it. I was going to say a lot of the cool things I think you guys would like, and then like I transitioned into a different thought mid-sentence. That was kind of strange, kind of like watching that happen in real time. But here's the thing where I feel like the Atlanta comparison comes up a little bit short. Atlanta always felt like it had something important to say. You know, even when it fell flat trying, it was always trying to say something important. This doesn't really have that. You know, at the end of the day, it does some creative things, it does some fun things, it does some scary things. It really tries a lot of different shit, and it does a good job at a lot of different shit. But at the end of the day, all we're really doing right now is poking fun at obsessive fan culture, and that's not important. You know, it's fun, but it's not important. Like I said, Atlanta was always trying to do something important, relevant, new, fresh, creative. All that. Like, this is like, okay, it's fun, it's fresh, it's creative, but it lacks the importance. Because, like I said, it really does feel like it's just meant to make fun of the Beehive, which I mean, like. Okay, but like, that's not really an admirable thing to do. Like why did you set out like, hey, let's make a whole show cracking on the Beehive? And it's not the Beehive specifically. It's meant to talk about all of this kind of culture, but you know, the Beehive is the face of it. Whether Beyonce's fans would like it or not, the Beehive is the face of all the negativity that comes with that, and that's just, you know, that's what it is. But again, like, this isn't a criticism of this show. It's just me saying how it's not like Atlanta, because in a lot of ways it is. And like I said, it just doesn't feel as necessary as Atlanta did. But, you know, this is still a really fun show. And while I've only watched the first 4 episodes, I'll definitely be watching the last 3. And it's highly likely I'll be watching them tonight. So if you're one of the people who likes to follow along with me when I'm like live commenting while I'm watching stuff on Facebook, might want to keep an eye on the Facebook page. You always want to keep an eye on the Facebook page on Friday night, because that's when I watch all my shit, right? Like, my extra shit. Like, I watched a lot of extra shit last night, that being this Swarm. But, like, you know, Friday is what I really watch all my extra shit. Like, I'm going to be watching Abbott Elementary on there tonight. I'll be watching Bill Maher. I'll probably be watching these last 3 episodes. So and I'm gonna be high while I'm doing it. So it's always a fun time. I like people come and see it afterwards, and they're just like, oh wow, this is so fun. I was watching your reactions while you're watching these things. But it'd be fun if somebody was watching in real time with me. So like I said, check the Facebook page around 11 o'clock at night, Eastern. Let's see, where was I? I got completely distracted. Where was I? Yeah. So, what does make this show work really well is the captivating performance of its star, Dominique Fishback. And I kind of look at Dominique Fishback the same way I do Jonathan Majors. With Jonathan Majors, I felt like I kind of started banging the drum pretty early on the idea that, like, yo, I think this guy's going to be a big fucking star one day. And now look at him. He's a big fucking star today. And, you know, I feel the same way about Dominique Fishback. It's just taken longer than I think it took Jonathan Majors. You know, The Deuce was her first time as a series regular. Loved her on that. Judas and the Black Messiah, she was great. The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray, she was great on that. That was a slept-on performance from both her and Samuel L. Jackson. And then now you got this show. And she's so good in this, man. Like, she does a lot with this character, right? To show somebody who's clearly not all the way there mentally. She plays the character kind of like childlike almost. And I'm sure the character is kind of like intentionally written childlike as kind of like an insult to this type of fan. But like, she has these moments where she also gets like really dark, really scary, really creepy. And the fact that she seems childlike the rest of the time makes those moments work that much more. And she does such a great job of kind of like flipping that switch and going from kind of like this childlike innocence to this very scary kind of like could snap at any moment. And they do this thing where like they have bees buzzing when you think she's about to snap. It's like corny, but it's funny because you're like, oh shit, they're gonna bees. She's about to kill a motherfucker. Like that shit's kind of fun, and I like that. And then she's funny too. Like the character's funny as fuck. She has a scene with Paris Jackson, and yes, it is that Paris Jackson that's in this backyard. And I'm not gonna spoil what happens. Just that like when you see the two of them in a backyard at night, you're gonna know this is the scene that he's talking about. Her character, like that scene is just hilarious. Like, and she does little things with like subtle things with her body. And the scene goes, it's one of those scenes where it's like the gag kind of goes on too long, but then it goes on so long that it gets funny again. And it was a good moment. And then her character's also like purely fucking gluttonous, like constantly snacking, particularly after she killed somebody. Like she kills somebody, it's like, oh, I just gotta fucking eat. And it's like, it's so weird. And it's like, it's funny. But I don't know if it's like just a weird character quirk to let us know, like, hey, she kills motherfuckers over, I keep wanting to say Beyonce, over Nyjah, and then she's hungry as fuck right after. Like, that works up a fucking appetite killing motherfuckers. Like, I don't know if that's just a character quirk, or if something's gonna come back later where we're like, oh, she had some sort of traumatic event while she was eating some Fritos. Like, I don't fucking know. But speaking of Paris Jackson, though, this is another way this show is similar to Poker Face. And I mentioned it earlier, but I didn't really delve into it. But the guest stars on this show are fucking killing it, man. Chloe Bailey, the only other person beside Dominique Fishback that is, I think she's appeared in every episode of the 4 that I watched so far. This is her acting debut. She's really fucking good, man. Like, I'm like, watching, I'm like, she's doing a good job. Like, and I don't want to sound surprised, like I expect her to be shitty. But like, when you see somebody who kind of like, who you know from something else beforehand, like they're famous before they even get into acting, and then they move into acting, you kind of think like, they're gonna fucking suck at this. And like, I didn't think that about her, and I'm not surprised that she's good. I'm surprised at how good she is. Like, she was really fucking good. And then Paris Jackson's episode that she's in, I think it's episode 3, might be 2. She's fucking hilarious, man. And she has a great line that, like, if you don't know that she's Michael Jackson's daughter, the line is still funny. But if you know she's Michael Jackson's daughter, the line is like 100 times funnier. Like, it's a really good, like, I like the fact that, like, when you think about these sorts of things, you think, you know, Donald Glover can, like, really get, I feel like Donald Glover is good at getting favors. And, like, to have, like, I don't even know how you think to get Paris Jackson on the show. Like, hey, it'd be cool we get Paris Jackson. But to get her to, like, do the line that I'm talking about, and I don't know, man. I just think he gets really impressive shit out of people. And I don't want to put it all on Donald. I believe, what's her name? Adama Ebo directed episodes 2 and 3, which one of those is the one with Paris Jackson. So she's the one who got something out of Paris Jackson. So I don't want to put it all on Donald Glover because he's a more recognizable name, but it does just seem like shit that he's involved with, he always seems to get something, whether it's a person or a performance that it seems like people don't generally give somewhere else. Like he gets people to really step outside of themselves and try something different. And like, I don't know, I just like the fact that they pulled in Paris Jackson to start, and then I loved how fucking funny she was in her episode. And then the big surprise here, episode 4. Episode 4 is a great episode of television, period. Like, it's a really good episode. And I'm not going to tell you what it's about because experiencing what it's about is part of the allure. But it features Billie Eilish in her acting debut. And I shit you not, she is so fucking good in this episode. Like, I don't know if people are going to watch this show. I feel like people are going to watch that episode because she's so popular. And this being her acting debut, I feel like throughout the course of today, people are going to start hearing like, oh, Billie Eilish is acting in this show. And I'm assuming they're going to say she's really fucking good because she was. I'm hoping people are going to get eyes on this because I bullshit you not. And if you know me, you know I'm careful with the hyperbolic phrases. Like, I don't use them. I don't try to speak too extreme. But to me, a guest performance, like, Emmy nomination, I don't think is off the table. She's that fucking good in this episode. Like, I was really fucking impressed, man. Like, shout out to Billie Eilish, bro. Like, she was good in this shit. Like if you, and that's the kind of cool thing. Like, I wouldn't say just hop to episode 4, but here's the thing too. Each of the episodes is about 30 minutes, so it's not going to take you long to get to episode 4 if you want to watch it. And I think it's worth. I enjoy the show, so it's not like episodes 1 through 3 are a slog, but like, if you want to watch the Billie Eilish performance episode 4, I do encourage you to watch the first 3 first, but you don't have to. And I'm telling you, I think you'll really like the Billie Eilish thing. Like, people are gonna come back like, yo, that motherfucker one mic that don't nobody know about. He was the first motherfucker to say something about an Emmy for Billie Eilish on the day that fucking show dropped. He was the first fucking one. And again, I'm not sitting here like, shit, he used to win Emmy, because everybody does that every time a good performance happens. But like, seriously, Chloe Bailey was great. Paris Jackson was great. I didn't say that about them, but Billie Eilish, like, she did a lot with this character, man. I'm telling you, she did a lot. But yeah, I'm fucking with this show, man. It's been a fun watch. If a bunch of people watch this video and want me to drop another video after I finish the last 3 episodes, you know, maybe we can get into spoilers, you know, get a little bit more in depth, you know, that kind of stuff. I'll be down to do that. Of course, the video needs to do numbers to make it feel like it's worth my time. But if I don't get to that, and this is the only thing that I'm going to put out talking about this show, 2 thumbs up for me. I fuck with it. I'm enjoying it. I think it's a pretty enjoyable show. Like, of course it's an enjoyable show. I enjoy it. But I mean, I feel like anybody would enjoy it. I don't feel like you got to be a certain kind of person or like a certain kind of genre. Like, I feel like anybody can fuck with this show. It's entertaining. Like I said, it's worth it alone just for some of these guest performances, like seeing Paris Jackson, seeing Billie Eilish, seeing Chloe Bailey. The violence is ridiculous. Dominique Fishback is so great. Damson Idris is in the first episode. Franklin Saint from Snowfall. Like, they're pulling out all the people. It's a fun time. I'm gonna watch the last 3 tonight. Come find me on Facebook. Again, probably around 11 o'clock. I'll probably be getting started. And I'll check these out. I'll be live commenting while I watch it. If you guys, like I said, if it gets enough plays and you guys want it, I'll drop a video talking about the last 3 episodes. And it'll probably be more like an overall kind of thing too. Like, I'll get into some of the specifics that I'm not talking about right now. I'll get into some of those specifics if I do another video. But that's up to you guys if I do another one. We'll see. And until then, peace.